record option for you without making us work.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
it's happening. Okay, sorry for that technical break. Um, Actually, that 40 minutes session has concluded only that time. The next 40 minutes starts now. So this particular coding, as I told you, like will be involved in creating the unit test. We'll be doing unit test, and the classes what we have constructed that will be tested now. And accordingly, we'll be just going for writing the code related to what exactly the system has to perform, what exactly the coding has to is involved, everything. So once the unit test has been created, the developer better able to focus on what must be implemented to pass the unit test. So right now the things are very clear. Whatever the things that have been told in the unit test, if at all it has to be, it should happen means I had to write the coding for that, right? So it is something like we are bypassing one step and we are going ahead and we are going to come back. So what unit test is going to tell to us is it is going to insist on these are all the things that are required to be executed, because functionally we are testing the project, high level functional testing. So for a high level functional testing, the unit test is going to clearly make us certain things visible, like the overall major functionality of the system. This particular functionality is required, that is required, this is required, like that, and it lists out. And we are going to write the code with respect to whatever things that are listed out by the unit test. So the listed out thing is what we call it as a unit test suite or a unit test framework. Am I clear? So it is something like we are going to make that particular unit test suite to happen or to implement in the development trend. Once the code complete, it can be unit tested immediately. So once again, after the coding is done, we are going for the usual unit test coding. Now, what is the advantage of going in this way of extreme programming is we are going to write the apt code or the most essential code for executing the most essential functionalities of the project. We are not going to concentrate on to certain other set of codings and all, which may then be tested by the unit test and going to be given with the kind of feedback that this particular coding need not to exist, this particular coding need not to happen, like the way and all. We are going to write the set of coding which are more essential, which are pretty much needed for that particular story's functional execution. I think you understood the difference between the conventional approach and this approach. Conventional approach, the coding is on the entire project. But when it comes to this agile approach, extreme programming practices, what we are doing is, as we identified the story is something like a part of the system or the total project which has been decomposed into smaller units, which has been told in the form of a story by the client. So onto the told thing, whatever the story the client has given to you, you are going to make them to work in terms of functionally. So in order to make them to functionally exist or execute, we are going to identify or we are going to come out with a small testing at the inception. During the small testing at the inception, we will try to get like, okay, these things and all are needed. These and all are, if at all it is all existing, means it will be good. Like the way the team is going to decide. And based upon the decision, that is that unit test suite, we are going to come out with the appropriate coding. And the so-called appropriate coding is once again unit tested, and we are going to come out with the instantaneous feedback by the developer, instant feedback to the developer. So who is going to do this particular testing means the in presence of the client, we are going to do the testing. So then only instant feedback can be given to the developer by the client. I think you got the point. So the first story, my story got a execution. My story got an implementation. That is the way how we are going to proceed in terms of this particular coding process. A key concept during the coding activity is pair programming. So how to do the coding or the actual set of people who are involved in terms of doing the coding here also. Pair programming, what we call it as an agile programming development technique to which two programmers work together at one workstation. One, the driver, writes code while the other observer, pointer or navigator reviews each line of code as it is typed in. The two programmers switch roles frequently. I think it's very much clear like what is pair programming is all about is two people are involved in coding and one person will be creating the code and another person will be reviewing the code. The one who is creating the code is called as a driver and the another one who is going to review the code is called as a observer or the pointer or the navigator. So what is the role of this driver is he has to write the code. He has to create the logic. He has to write the code. If at all some kind of logic is very difficult for him to bring out things, guys, please switch off your mics. Please switch off your mics. So what is the role of this observe what is that the person who is going to observe the code is the writer is going to write the code with appropriate logics, everything, and the other person is going to review the code then and there as it is written. He'll be just checking out, okay, is this logic is right or not. So it is something like when you are doing a code, when you're going to write a program and you're going to explain it to your friend, or your friend is going to explain it to you. So automatically many things can be like brainstormed at that particular duration of time. So this is what we call it as pair programming. And moreover, it's not like only one person has to be driver, another person has to be observer. Both can switch their roles frequently also. That option is also possible over here. But remember that when it comes to extreme programming, the coding can be written in terms of pair programming. More than one or two people can also be a part of the actual coding task. So what is achieved over here is uh, almost the code what you have written is unit tested there. Am I clear? In terms of functionality, in terms of logically, it is tested over there itself. One level of testing is done over there. And while you're going for integrating things also, in the presence of two or more number of people as the coding professionals, it is very easy to come into a kind of frequency. So this frequency will ensure that the entire integration can be a successful integration. But of course, integration is going to happen here also. Don't think like, sir, in the conventional approach only we have gone for integration because we have done integration testing. But here will we be going for doing it. Here also will be doing it, but we are going to do it in terms of the stories. One story thing can be integrated to another thing, and then another thing, and so on. So this integration thing is going to be done by the entire programmers who had created the code in terms of the pair. So they are going to integrate things, means automatically many things will be subsided over there. Many number of errors which may creep up, which may be a very difficult one to solve, or difficult one to identify, or difficult one to be given the kind of reasoning and solution. Everything will get a kind of solution at the time of development itself. That is the advantage what you're going to gain as a result of pair programming. And this provides a mechanism for real-time problem solving and real-time quality assurance. As I told you, problem solving also is possible. Quality assurance is also possible, because another person is going to keep on um, tracking your code and stating like this can be given with another logic, this can be done with in this way also. Like that is going to give you the suggestions to make the code more effective. So in that case, we can achieve the quality. So I already might have told you like quality assurance is all about coming out with the optimized form of usage of resources system in terms of its performance, in terms of its efficiency, in terms of its compatibility, robustness, everything. It has to go exactly according to the expectation. So quality assurance also achieved over here. So as pair programmers complete their work, the code they developed is integrated with the work of others. As I told you, integration is going to happen amongst the code. This continuous integration strategy helps to avoid compatibility and interfacing problems. Compatibility means two people are doing work simultaneously, and they both are going to come out with the correct kind of work. It is not like compatible differences may exist. So uh, in terms of achieving this compatible equality as well as interfacing problems, this continuous integration strategy will help us and provide a smoke testing that helps to uncover errors earlier. Smoke testing, I think you might already listen during the class, like it is a non-exhaustive testing wherein we are going to concentrate on to certain important essential functionalities what the project has to perform, and we are going to see to that whether those essential functionalities are all happening or not. Exhaustive testing is we are going to concentrate on to the whole of the area, but non-exhaustive means we are going to concentrate on to one particular thing only. So smoke testing also is able to be achieved over here. So this is what extreme programming in terms of coding is all about. Summary is given here. Recommends the construction of a unit test before coding commences. Encourages pair programming. Is it clear over here? Any doubts in any of the slides?
No, sir.
Have you got a clear understanding of why we are going for unit testing before coding in terms of extreme programming coding? Is it clear? Anyone is having a doubt, please raise and make it clear here itself. Because while you're writing for the exam, we'll be trying to get from you, did you got the right thing or not? And
Yes,
while
sir.
you may go for practicing also while you're going for your development, you may go for practicing this also. So at that time you should not wonder like if the team is telling like to do a unit testing, means you should not wonder like I don't have any input, then what can go for unit test. You have the classes what you identified related to the system, and you have to go for taking the class and you have to go for test them in terms of the higher level functionality, and whether if it is in order to achieve that higher level functionality, what are all the functional codings that you need to write. Those things only you have to write in the form of coding, and then once again you'll be going for unit test that coding, and then you'll be coming for giving that feedback to the developer. So later the coding, pair programming also, I believe you understood it clearly. Now coming to the testing, the most important part of extreme programming, because the method is new and what we adopted, what the learning that we are going to make, everything is new. So are we into the right track of developing a project that needs to be tested? So that is what testing is more mandatory at this particular level of development also. But please make sure that here we'll be doing only two different types of testing: unit testing and acceptance testing. Regression testing internally it will be done. Only unit testing and acceptance testing will be done. And the smoke testing is already done. We have done that. Integration testing also already it is done. So during our process itself, we are doing certain kind of testing in an internal indirect manner. So the creation of unit test before coding is the key element of the XP approach. So that is like a pivotal element of our development, like creation of the unit test before the coding. So the unit tests that are created should be implemented using a framework that enables them to be automated. This encourages regression testing strategy whenever code is modified. As I told you, like we have to go for constructing a framework for that unit testing. So once that unit testing framework is created, it is almost like we are going for creating a regression testing strategy whenever code is modified. So what we call it is a regression testing. We identified some errors and we are going to correct those errors, clear all the errors, and we are going to once again see that whether those errors and all are created. Further, we are going to construct one more test. That is the reason why we call it as regression testing. Testing again and again and again. That is what we call it as regression testing. So here also, after implementing the framework, that is the framework after during that unit testing, we are going to come out with a framework. That framework, after creating that framework, we are going for indirectly achieving a regression testing strategy whenever the code is modified, because the framework is going to have certain number of modifications. The classes and all are going to be getting modified. We are going to come out with some our own comments. We are going to come out with our own alterations onto the system, and we are going to conduct a kind of changes over there, modifications over there, and we are going to do a testing over there. Once again, we are going to do the testing over there. Automatically, it becomes a regression testing. So individual unit tests are organized into a universal testing suite. Integration and validation testing of the system can occur on daily basis. So with that universal testing suite, we are going to conduct that testing, means integration and validation testing will be automatically happening on a daily basis. This provides the XP team with a continual indication of progress and also can raise warning flags early if things are going away. Things are going away means what? Before the coding itself, we'll come out with all the possibilities that an error may occur, and we are going to come out with some kind of warning flags and making our team to be alert, like where we may fail. So accordingly, the coding can be done. So during the testing, all these problems will be like passing, and it will go for the deployment, final deployment. That is the reason why we are just mixing up the testing as well as coding together in terms of extreme programming. So XP test, acceptance test, also called a customer test, are specified by the customer and focus on the overall system future and functionality that are visible and reviewable by the customer. So what exactly here we call it as XP acceptance is very important, because while you're going for writing about in the exam, in the testing you'll be writing upon unit testing and you'll write upon acceptance testing, because only these two testings are evident. Other remaining testings are indirectly done. So what we call it as XP acceptance test means it is otherwise called as customer test. Always accept testing is a customer test. We know that because the customer is the only person who has to accept onto the product, are specified by the customer and focus on the overall system feature and functionality that are visible and reviewable by the customer. So what we achieved in terms of development, according to the requirement of the client, overall features, overall functionality of the system, whether we are achieved or not, and customer is going to be satisfied with whatever the product that we are going to deploy to him. So this is what we call it as the acceptance test in terms of extreme programming. So with all these steps, when we are going to do everything together, we can call it as we are adopting extreme programming practice in terms of software development. So in terms of agile software development. So the summary goes like all unit tests are executed daily. Acceptance tests are defined by the customer and executed to assess customer visible functionality. So this is all about extreme programming. All the 4 steps are done with this. And now I believe if you look out into the diagram, you will have a clear-cut understanding of what exactly we had done or what we had learned. So planning, user stories, values, acceptance test criteria, iteration plan. All those 4 things we dealt. Design, simple design, CRC arts. Remember that simple design is the key. We are going to keep things simple. And spike solutions and prototypes are generated. Spike solutions, I believe you understood it. Coding, refactoring is done and pair programming is also done. During the coding, we are going for unit test. Before the coding, we are going for unit test. And once on to the set of activities which we identified during the unit test are going to be achieved in terms of coding, and the coded thing once again we are going for unit testing them, and after that we are going for integrating whatever the tested products. All the integration testing is done over there, and we are going to take it to the customer for his acceptance, whatever the features and functionality that he expected out of the project to happen. Everything we are going to take it to the customer and get his acceptance, and that is going to be a final release. That is software increment project velocity computed. In the first release itself, we'll be getting to know like what is the next part of the product that we have to work upon. That is software increment. And project velocity computer means the speed or the phase in which the project, all these activities had happened. Mostly in a week duration of time, this entire thing will happen. So conventional approach, totally traditional approach, totally we are going to keep it away. So there is no issue of doing any of the activities that have been told over there. It is enough for us to practice only the things that are listed over here. That is what we call it as the agile development in terms of extreme programming. Is it clear? So the release, once it has happened, we are going to go for the next story, and we are going to take up the story and come out with a solution for that. So as simple as the stories are going to be, no matter how many number of stories we are going to have, that is not going to be an issue. But as simple as the stories are going to be, as sooner we can come to the release. So like this, when we just keep doing on and on and on, all the release finally, when you're going to integrate them, it will become one complete system. This is the idea behind extreme programming. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So after this, I want you people to do a small assignment on, once the exams are done, you can do a small assignment on the Scrum and Lean software development. And once we come together for the classes, I'll just give you a brief about these 2 methodologies. Am I
Sure.
clear? So with this, yeah.
Yes, sir. The material that you provided, one of the PDF was damaged, sir. It was corrupted.
I'll send it today. I'll send it to you. I'll
Yes,
just
sir.
make
2-3
everything.
PDFs, sir.
Yes, sir.
No problem. No problem. I'll send those things to you by today itself.
Okay, sure, sir.
Already Abash has informed me. I'll just take all the, he told me what are the files also got corrupted. I'll just resend to you all those things.
Sure, 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 sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so with this, the part of the 4th module is concluding, and the remaining is the web application design, which we'll be concentrating from the next class onwards. There is a web application pyramid. We'll be going according to the pyramid, wherein we'll be learning about different types of design and development with respect to web application oriented projects. Those things will be continuing in the next class.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay,
Yes,
guys. Okay, with this we'll end up the class. Thanks for your patient listening. And Jiteshwar will share you the contents. You can put it in Drive or anywhere and try to share the contents, whatever it has been recorded today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See you in the next session. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Shafaitullah joined now.
Early for the next session, you can. Okay, I will end the meeting. Bye bye.
Okay, sir. Bye.
Bye, sir.